Hello guys, this is Mr. Zorba here, coming to you from Australia. I've been asked for a while now to do a video on taking down the Tanfoglio Stock 2 and putting it back together, and there's a lot of videos on the internet that show various stages of taking down for various component swap outs and changes, and a lot of them don't comply with production division rules for IPSC. And I found the time now to do a video. So you'll need a few things: just a container to put some small parts in, a small little hammer, a couple of punches of various sizes, and a long nose pliers. Always when we're working with our firearms, safety comes first, so we have our pistol. We make sure there's no magazine in it, nothing in the chamber, and we can begin to take it apart. So we just line up the two dots on the frame and on the slide, and we can simply tap out the slide stop, and the slide should just come off like that. Most of us know how to do this part of the takedown because we often just strip and clean for matches, but not many people have done the full complete strip and takedown that I'm going to show you today. Now, that's as far as most of you go. You can go a little bit further. I like to clean out my firing pin, so simply press down on the firing pin, and whilst maintaining pressure on it, you can slide off the firing pin stock plate, and that should just come off like that. Be very careful to not let that go, because you will have a firing pin ejected into the air and you might not find it after that. Firing pin pops out, firing pin spring comes out, and the firing pin block should just fall out like that. There is a small spring in the bottom of that. Be careful not to lose it. Now, the extractor, simple punch again. I like to go from the top, some people go from the bottom, makes no difference. I don't use a block. I like to feel what I'm doing. I can feel when the punch is hitting metal or if it's hitting the roll pin and coming through, so you can hear that sound and you can see the pin coming out through the bottom. Drive that all the way through so the pin falls out. There we go, pin's out. Again, when you pull the punch out, it's what's holding the extractor in at the moment, so put some pressure on the extractor, pull out the pin, the punch rather, and you should have a free extractor that should just come out like that, and the spring fell out with it. There's the spring and there's the extractor. Chuck them in your little bowl, and that's as far as I go with the top end. There's no need to take the sights off because then the firearm will need re-zeroing. I'll show you what I do to clean this and re-lube it when we do the second video of putting it all back together. Let's put that aside for now. We get to the bottom end. Now, first and foremost, we need to take the right hand safety off. Small punch from the top again, tap 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 tap, and I like to tap the pins all the way out so I can put them back in the way they went out from the top, always going through that way. There's the pin and there's the safety, just comes off. Before you go any further, people try and drive that safety catch out, and you can't because there's the little spring foot that holds it in position. You have to lift that foot, the leg of that spring, and lift it up and over into the little slot on the cage, on the sear cage, just like that. Now that will be free to move. Press the trigger and drop the hammer with control. Put some pressure on the cage and just tap that out. When you pull it out, it's free. and the cage should just pop out into your hands. Now we have a hammer pin. This is a retaining pin that retains the hammer pin in place so it doesn't fall out. Just maneuver that one out and it'll just drop free. There it is. That's the hammer pin. Don't lose it. To get the hammer pin out, just put a little bit of pressure on the hammer itself and push that pin out. And there it is, hammer pin. Now your hammer will be free to lift out. And your hammer spring will also come out. All that's left to do now is to remove the trigger, and we use our trusty punch again. Be careful, this is where people lose their trigger return springs. They tend to fly all over the place. So when you're driving this through, keep going till your pin falls out. There we go, we're hitting the side of the frame. Now it's going good again. There we go. Roll pins out, and my punch is holding everything together. Now there's only one way I found to not lose this spring. Is to either put the whole gun in a plastic bag and then pull this out so you don't lose it. The other way is to just turn the gun upside down, cover the magazine well, because believe me, the spring can jump out of there too, and then just pull the punch out. And when we lift the gun up, there's our trigger spring, and our trigger should be free to come out. Takes a bit of fiddling because it's a tight space that it all fits into, but it does pop out. There we go. Now all that's left in here is to remove our mag release, and to do that it's like pulling a tooth. Grab onto the foot of the plunger and just yank it out. And there it is. Now our mag release will come out, and basically in this mag release there is a little spring and plunger right there, and the foot of this sits in there, and that's what locks it into position. I'll show you how to put that back together in the next video. That's basically it. Now this frame's pretty clean. This was done about 350 rounds ago for a competition we recently had, and it's a nice clean frame, but while it's apart I'll clean it again. You could take the grips off, there's no need to. There's nothing left in here but for the hard spring that holds the slide stop in position, and that doesn't need to be taken out. There's a little pin for that. I've never taken that out, never had to, because you can get into all the nooks and crannies for a good clean. Clean it up with some high pressure metho or kerosene or some brake cleaner and dry it up, and that'll be good to go. So that's the bottom end done, that's the top end done, and I'll see you in a short while for the second video.